You're listening to the Jay Bird Watching Podcast, the official podcast of jaysjournal.com and Fansided.com. We are the official ballroom chat for everything Toronto Blue Jays baseball, from game highlights to rumors and all the stuff in between. Here's your host, Craig Borden, with co-hosts Jason Lyons and Liz McGuire. Now let's talk some Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Good evening, Blue Jays fans, and welcome to an evening of Jay Bird Watching. I am your host, Craig Borden. We got the whole collective together tonight. Jason Lyons, Liz McGuire. First, how the hell are you two doing?
Liz, you go.
I'm delightful. That's it. I'm just delightful. I'm just going to state I enjoy watching this team of people I don't know, but I'm delighted by. And sometimes they hit dingers, and I'm delighted by that. Jason, what do you got?
Yeah. Well, back from the center of Canada, Portage in Maine, the windiest spot in the country. My boys did really well. We came third in Western Canada, came up against some pretty tough competition from Regina. I think we would have beat the team from Red Deer, no insult to them, but some shout outs to a couple of kids on especially the 5 kids that came on at the end and helped us get to where we were. Tyson and Wyatt and Reese and Enzo. It was a lot of fun to have them all there. And when Hickey. I know they're all watching now and they're all subscribed to this. And we got picked up a whole bunch of kids from when we were there watching it. So big ups to North Shore Baseball. Big ups to all of our sponsors that helped out the whole way through and got us, more money than you could possibly raise for a kids baseball team in 4 days. But yeah, it was awesome and super proud of the kids. And that's all I got for now.
Good deal. And everybody probably knows that we have a fourth square with us this evening. We have a guest, Brian Crawford of jaysprospects.com. How we doing, my friend? It's been a bit.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we ran into each other in Lansing in 2016, and it's been good. Life's been busy, but here I am. I'm still going at it and getting content for the site, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember who was on the mound finally. It's Yesny Diaz was on the mound that day when we were there. I ended up really loving Yesny Diaz for a long time, and honestly, maybe you know where he ended up landing. I have no idea at this point.
He was in the Mets system for a little while. I don't know where he's at now.
Yeah, I'm curious because, like I said, I thought he had a lot of talent, and I don't know what it was, but every time I went to Lansing and saw Jesse Goldberg Strassler or ran into yourself, I literally happened to be there every time Diaz was pitching for a year straight. So it was kind of odd that I was picking every 5th day for him, but good things. So let's dive into it because we have all sorts of things, the ups, downs to unpack this week and from last week. Liz, last week we left off with the Blue Jays obviously on a little bit of a winning streak and looking pretty good. And then now it's been ups and downs, and the fact that the Reds are about as ups and downs as we can be. So what's your thoughts from over the last week in Blue Jays baseball?
I'm just trying to have fun. It was a really fun week. That's it. Even yesterday's game where we were up by 6 or something, and then we got blown out. I was like, yeah. That makes total sense.
It was fun for the first 5 innings.
Yeah, we know who our bullpen is. We know we've got holes and gaps, but it's still fun, as I said, to watch the lads hit some dingers and celebrate profusely. So that's it.
Yeah, there was a lot of great celebrating.
I'm just having a good time watching these boys celebrate where they can, and Vladdy's just crushing, and I'm so proud of him.
Yep. So, Jason, what did you think? We unfortunately only won 2 games actually since our last episode, and obviously they're playing this evening live right now at a stellar 0-0. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that the most interesting thing, and I think this speaks to us as a group, the 3 of us. I really have started to get people reaching out to me quite a bit, and I'm disappointed that they don't come in and live chat a little bit more. They're a little nervous. I think some of them will step up and we'll start to see some more of this. But everybody is talking about the Jays relief pitching and how it can possibly be as bad as it is, and that nothing can be done about it. And then you have an opportunity today to bring that kid up that we got from Houston, and we don't do that. It seems to me like they make a great decision on one hand and then totally make multiple terrible decisions on the other hand. And I mean, I know it happens, but these guys are pros. Like Eric Swanson is a professional baseball player. That's his job, and he sucks at it. He is awful. And I mean, there's no recourse. It's the guy is bad. He's terrible. And he just looks in there, that dopey look on his face. He's like, oh, another home run. And you're like, come on, man.
Well, the funny thing is, too, he was trending back to being Eric Swanson and then all of a sudden we saw the bad night again last night. So I guess
Swanson TV dinner right now.
Obviously, joining the show this time for the first time in a bit. How did you see over the Blue Jays last week here in baseball? We record every Thursday, so those ups and downs have been very prevalent over this. Have you seen any play that you've seen that stands out over the past week?
Who was that for, me?
I was saying Brian, sorry.
Oh, Brian.
Okay. Anything that really stood out? I mean, I think it is good to see Joey Lefebvre get a home run. I mean,
yeah, that was a fun one.
Other than that, it's been kind of just an up and down week, kind of what the whole season's been like.
It's good to see Bowden Francis pitching well.
Oh, that's so good.
Player of the week.
He seems to have found his groove. I think it's maybe that purple glove that he's rocking now, but whatever it is, hopefully he can keep it up, and hopefully he can earn himself a spot next year, because I like him. I think he throws well. I think he throws hard. I think he wants to be a Blue Jay, and you know.
And you see him around Toronto. He's always just kind of walking around downtown, looking spaced out. It's pretty fun. It's kind of like seeing a rare bird in the wild. Okay, Jason, I have a question for you. Why do you think that Bowden's found his groove? Is it because now he's like pitching like longer?
I think he's relaxed. I think he was clinching it for so long, and I mean, I can't even imagine. I know everyone thinks that I was a professional athlete on multiple disciplines in multiple sports. I know you do. It's fine. It's understandable. But I am not. And I can't even imagine what that clinch is like when you get up there and the expectations are high and you just keep missing them over and over and over again. And you're like, dude, I am better than this. And every time you come into the dugout, you're like, I can do this. I've been doing this since I was 3 years old. Like, what am I doing? And you can see it on his face. He looks like at any time he could possibly laugh. And that's what you need. Loose. Baseball is loose. If you aren't loose, you're done. Like look at Vladdy right now. Could he be having more fun? Effortless. He's not even trying.
No.
And I think that once Bowden sort of relaxed and fell into it, I felt like he's really been quite good. And everybody hits that point in their career at different marks. I was amazed, there's all this talk about trading Bo Bichette, and they were talking about, possibly Juan Soto being the trade target for him. But I want to make a point though. If I was to ask you guys which one is older, and I mean, Craig and Brian, I mean, if you ask the average person who's older, Bo Bichette or Juan Soto, I think most people are going to say Soto. He's not.
Soto.
He's a year younger than Bo Bichette. And so.
Exactly.
It's when you start to look at it and these guys that finally realize it and just relax into the game and let it be fun, be a game, then they start to play. But I'm glad Bowden's found it.
So, Brian, you got the pleasure of seeing, obviously, a lot of Bowden Francis in the minor leagues. Did you think that he was always that last little tip to getting into where he is now, or were you expecting him to be one of those guys that was going to be stuck in the bullpen?
I feel like the ceiling for him was always to be in the rotation. When he first got up there, obviously they wanted to put him in the bullpen a little bit, but I always thought he would be like a back of the rotation kind of guy.
Yeah, he's got too good of stuff. And to your point, Jason and Liz, I think that the confidence is obviously what's really flowing at this point. Reigning AL pitcher of the week right now is
awesome.
Bowden Francis, and my newest fantasy baseball addition to my fantasy team in second place, by the way. But to that point, it's amazing what all of a sudden just finally makes that prospect click at the end of the day. We've seen it over the years, all of a sudden with somebody like Jose Bautista obviously being on the late end of that whole piece. And I know Bowden Francis is in, pushing his 30s. He's 27, I believe, is what I saw for. But anyways, the fact is, you just never know when somebody's going to finally click. Is there anybody in recent history that you guys thought, I'm just going to go around the table here, who was the guy that you thought would click and never did? And then maybe one that did and you weren't expecting. And I think, Liz, you and I have had the pleasure of meeting the one that I think is probably where you're going.
I don't know if you do. So I think for me, it was, I thought Nate Pearson was going to click. I really believe that Nate Pearson was going to click. And then the one that I was surprised that did in fact click was Joey Bats.
Joey Bats.
Joey Bats, man, he just changed his stance and then started crushing. And I was like, for sure that guy's on drugs. I remember that.
Where's the roid rage report, right? That was kind of what everybody had. I remember hearing everybody being the one Blue Jay fan here in all of Rochester, New York at the time, before the Bison's connection all of a sudden happened. My friends were like, "Oh, come on, he's always in Conseco. He's Mark McGuire in it. Something like that's going on. What's fishy here?" No, nothing like that. It never even was linked to it. And then watching, obviously, getting Double E Edwin Encarnacion bat right behind him. That would be my pick for as far as a guy that I never thought was going to click, because he was just right there on the edge every time and never made it over the hurdle. Mr. Crawford, was there a prospect that you can remember that you were like, this is the must-click guy, and then the guy that you were surprised actually was a guy that clicked?
Well, I expected Kevin Biggio to be a little better than he actually turned out at the major league level. I mean, obviously being the son of Craig Biggio, and, watching him in the minors, he just great. I really thought he would have a better major league career than he really has. And definitely, I would think the one that surprised me the most is probably David Snyder. Being drafted so late, struggling in the minors, and kind of being on the verge of hanging it up before all of a sudden he adjusted his plate approach a little bit, and all of a sudden he just figured it out. And I'd say of all the players, I would say he surprised me the most.
Yeah, and I think that's a good one too, because at the end of the day, he had all kinds of pop his minor league career, but never really did much else other than that, outside of obviously being a pretty good defender on the other side of the ball. Jason.
Yeah.
It's funny because Liz kind of took mine with Nate Pearson. I mean, I thought he was going to be a direct rocket right to the top. I thought he looked great. He had all of the tools. I mean, I'm going to go with the really, really, really obvious one and take Alek Manoah. I mean, Alek Manoah could possibly be the biggest bust in Jay's history. And I mean, they haven't had a lot of really huge misses, but I think that Alek Manoah is that really big miss. And then, I've had a few surprises over the last couple of years. I mean, David Snyder certainly has turned back into the person that we always thought he probably would be after a couple of weeks. I am going to stick with one who I've been surprised with the whole entire time he's been a Jay, and that is the Maple Beef. I have been overly impressed by Kirk the entire time he has been a Jay. He has worked his ass off when needed. He has hit. He has caught. He's done everything. And I mean, he's one of those guys that atypically you don't look at him and think to yourself, hey, there's a super athlete. But, he's really dug in. And the other one I think is also very obvious is Vladdy. I mean, Vladdy has been everything he has been advertised to be and more. When he has slumped, he's come back. Every time that he's everyone's been like, oh, where is Vladdy? Then 3 weeks later, like, oh, there he is. And oh my God. And then, so, I mean, I'll stick with Kirky, but Vladdy's certainly in the hall on that one.
So on that note, we got a bunch of youngsters that have been promoted to this team, bullpen, starting pitching, all the above. Who's gotten you most excited at this point? Brian, I'm going to let you go first on this one, being the guest, as far as getting your prospect fun out here. But the Blue Jays acquired a lot of guys, and a lot of them are already in the major leagues. Who's been the most one that's stood out for you since the trade deadline?
That's currently on the team or in the minors?
I'm fine with either one, my friend.
I'd say Charles McAdoo is probably a big one. He's just an absolute beast down in Double A, and he can hit, he can defend, he can play all over the field. I'd say he was a really good get in the IKF trade.
Yeah, and also your most recent article from your own website, so I guess that's a win, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Self-promotion.
So, yeah, there you go. We're all about shameless self-promoting here. So, I have been. That sounded funny enough. That's how Brian and I got talking again. Was goofing around on Twitter and talking about highlights from Charles McAdoo. But this kid has got all sorts of talent, and he's the guy that was the trade for IKF for Blue Jays fans that weren't following that part of the trade. He's got a lot of crazy good tools. It could be a very interesting piece for the Blue Jays next season, the following season, whichever one keeps him on this rocket ship that he might be following at the moment. But we'll see what happens. Jason, I haven't let you go next yet. Who's impressed you the most at this point with the Blue Jays current?
I have a tie.
Okay.
My tie
you got to leave one of them for Liz to talk about.
I know. I'm going to try and not steal her thunder on I really like Leo Jimenez. Really, really, really like him a lot. Again, I feel like he's got every tool that has been advertised, and he seems to be providing us with exciting moments. But I'm going to go with the double W, Will Wagner. I mean, this guy he's one of those kids that he's like 27 or 28 years old. He's finally getting his shot, and everything he touches turns to gold for right now. So, I mean, my hope for him is that, he doesn't fall too far down the hole. I mean, it's nice to be up for the time when the team sucks, but you got to work your way in. He seems like a good kid. The team seems to like him a lot. So, Will Wagner is my guy.
I love the contact he makes. It reminds me of very much of our favorite guy. We always talk about Tony Gwynn between you and I, Jason. That we miss having a guy like that in the lineup every day that can just dust the ball all over the place. Doesn't exactly have to hit for power, but he can show enough.
He is Gwynn-esque.
Yeah, and the thing I was impressed with Will Wagner was he was a lot speedier than I advertised. I thought he's not definitely a guy that's going to light up the base paths or anything, but he was definitely a guy that looks like he's going to leg out more doubles than you would think at the end of the day. So we'll see what happens on that one. Liz, who are you liking so far?
Okay, well, I mean, overall of the Buffalo boys, I do like Spencer Horwitz. I will say my props go to Will Wagner, who I've just called Weggy. Although, just building on what Jason said, he had a quote that he was like, I can just hit, I'm hitting whatever they throw at me. I'm good. And I felt like, I was like, oh, buddy. Get ready, my guy. I will also state that Weggy is one of the most blandest looking baseball men I've ever seen. I put him in the same category as, our pitcher Little. It's just real blando looking dudes. You wouldn't recognize.
Do you remember, I hate to go wrestling on everybody, do you guys remember when The Rock and Kane had a thing going, and The Rock used to call him the giant jar of mayonnaise? That's what he is.
Yeah,
the giant jar of mayonnaise.
He's just kind of like a blando, pasty. The rest blando, pasty looking dudes.
Call him Miracle Whip. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. It's almost going back to old video game days, right? When you have MVP 2005 baseball, right? You just have generic guy here.
Yeah.
Right? I always thought
he doesn't have the long hair or anything weird going on.
But
to that point, I don't give a shit what he looks like. He's just crushing baseballs, so that's all that matters.
I always thought that Randall Grichuk looked like a baseball player action figure and they made him an action figure and a doll, but he was like my video game
I was going to say, it was more of a Barbie Ken doll, if I recall right. All I remember was on Twitter watching all the headless,
the Randall
Sid from Toy Story wrecking all the Randalls.
Yeah, but anyway, so my pick is I'm so stoked that we're having some fun momentum, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this in a bit with Brian, but I'm very concerned at the state of our farm system. I think it came out that we have no top 100 level prospects. That scares me. That scares me quite a lot.
Yeah, because right now it's the lingering guys from the last 100 that are actually currently still in that list. But on that note, we're going to get to that. So we're going to pause. We have a couple of other big topics that we have to talk about. And before we talk anything crazy, I want to talk about Joey Votto having I'll say the quickest retirement speech in Major League Baseball history on Instagram, Twitter, whatever the hell it was the other night. But literally just said, cold face, I'm done. Thank you. Love y'all. Peace out.
9 words.
So,
Nine
But
words.
to that point, I just think it's hilarious that that's how he retires. And that he has been one of the best interviews in all of Major League Baseball for years. that's how he signs off.
I love it.
So
I did it on
I
his
just wanted to
terms.
give everybody a chance.
Yeah,
I
I'm
want to
gonna
give
go.
everybody a chance to gush on Joey Votto. So go ahead, Lizzie.
I'm gonna gush.
All right, go on.
Joey Votto. I mean, the thing is, like, he had the personality. He did speeches where he was like a wrestling coach, like a WWF like pump up coach. You know, there was my favorite thing he did was he was around Toronto playing chess during like COVID. He did a selfie series with all of the mascots from hockey. He did a karaoke thing in the Reds clubhouse. But the thing is, like, he had the talent to back that up. Like, that's the thing. I think also in sports, we're so used to either machismo or just, again, blandness. And he gave us something a little bit different. He had a fun personality. He wasn't afraid, and he also delivered on field. And the way that he went out, I got some problems with it, but the way that he did it on his terms, he's just like, I'm not good enough. Super respectful. Just like, I'm not, and broke your heart. I'm not good anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no shortage of amazing career stats as far as a guy that's just under 300 for a batting average for a 15-year career, I believe.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Either way,
he's Hall of Fame.
356 home runs, 65 career WAR or something like that too. So it's right up there with a lot of the greats. Jason, go ahead.
Well, I think the biggest thing, hopefully, I know Joey's been kind of poking around our Twitter a little bit. I've seen a couple of responses and a couple of likes to some stuff I put out there. So, Joey, if you watch this, just know that you are an inspiration. You are an inspiration to kids who play baseball in Canada. I can't think of a harder thing than to become a professional baseball player and play in a country where you can only play baseball for 4 months a year. You were everything that you would want to be for an ambassador for Canada and for the game. And when you screwed up, you owned it harder than anybody I ever saw own anything in their life. That led her back to baseball and all that stuff. That was pretty impressive. Just the faking balls to fans in different stadiums and like just so good, like just the best. And, I'm really, really, really disappointed that the Jays couldn't find a way to get him into even one of the games against the Reds. Like, I know he says he's not good enough, but take a look at the team you're walking onto. Like, I mean, let's not split hairs here. Joey wouldn't be the worst guy on the field, even if he thinks he sucks, because if a Hall of Famer thinks he sucks, he's probably better than a couple of the guys that are on the field right now. So big ups to Joey Votto. I mean, hell of a career. He's Hall of Fame material for every category except maybe one. So my hope is that he becomes the, I believe, fourth Canadian to go into the Hall of Fame. It might be third, but I think it's fourth.
I think it's third. Larry Walker, and I'm forgetting Larry Walker and
what's his name?
I'm thinking it.
Well, Justin Morneau. Is Morneau in the Hall?
Yeah. Not yet. No, he didn't make it in. Not yet, anyway.
There's the pitcher, the old pitcher. What is his name? I can't remember it. It'll come to me.
I just had this up earlier too.
Middle of the night.
So.
But great guy. Shows that you can play your whole career in one city and have them still love you. So big ups to Joey Votto.
Yeah. So Brian, you might have gotten a little chance to see some Joey Votto fun too. Being a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't you a little more central as far as things go? Location, anyway. What's your thoughts on Joey Votto?
Yeah. Man, just a great career. It's hard enough to become a professional baseball player and to be able to play till you're 40 years old. I mean, not many players can do that. And to be able to say, like, oh, I'm not good enough. It's like you played till you're almost 41 and you're still playing the game that you love. I mean, how many players can say they had a career of his magnitude? And, just the accolades and, that he came back, he signed a minor league deal. Most players wouldn't do that after a 15-year major league career. Fringe Hall of Fame career, might get in. And he came back and, put everything on the line. And, yeah, it's too bad he didn't get an opportunity to play at least one game in Toronto. That would have been a good way to send him off.
Yep. Hall of Fame worthy, and I will say that my favorite interview ever was when he randomly showed up on Intentional Talk wearing a full Canadian Mountie uniform.
Yeah, super good.
That was a classic. And the best part is he actually didn't. He's interviewing with Chris Rose and Kevin Millar, and he's acting all prim and proper, but he doesn't acknowledge the fact that he's dressed like that the whole interview.
That's what makes it.
He's just dusting over it.
You got to sell it. If you're gonna wear a costume, you got to sell it. You can't acknowledge the fact that you're wearing a Chewbacca costume.
No.
You just gotta.
Chewbacca.
It's gotta be Chewbacca.
Yeah. The former Major League MVP of 2010 and having a crazy amount of All-Star appearances after that. I didn't realize he was actually a top 3 MVP placement 3 different times in his Major League Baseball career, and one as recently as 2017, which was, I'd say, the peak before the last fall, but that was also the last time the Reds were really good, and he had 134 RBIs that season. That's wild. So all kudos and tip of the hat to Mr. Joey Votto for going to obviously his post-playing baseball career. I have a strange feeling that he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be somehow involved in baseball one way or the other over the next few years. And honestly, I won't lie if it's a bad thing he's a hitting coach in Toronto. Just saying. So, moving right along, I want to talk things that will eventually get us to this prospect talk we're going to talk about here with Mr. Brian Crawford. The fact that Bo Bichette is apparently on the block, no restrictions, wow me kind of like trade. What are the Blue Jays going to have to get for what has not played pretty much all season, Bo Bichette, and he has had a very down year. He's young. He still has all next year on his contract at a cheap rate. I think it was for $14 million or $13 million. So that is an above average shortstop that should hit very well for some Major League Baseball team. With what's been going on lately, I don't know if that's going to be the worst thing in the world, with having somebody else maybe playing shortstop to get that piece the Blue Jays need to actually be competitive next season. But what are you guys thinking as far as what we might have to get back in a trade for Bo Bichette? Is it a couple prospects, or is it a Major League ready player at another position? I'll let whoever wants to run with that one first, because that's a grenade.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the people of Toronto will expect Noah's Ark to pull up and prospects and players and mascots and all this stuff to just come flying off it. I mean, I feel like the reality is Bo has a lot of good value. I feel like Bo is one of those guys that, given a new opportunity, I mean, if he was traded to the Dodgers, or if he was traded to the Braves, or if he was traded to, any of those the Phillies, any of those contending teams, I think you would really see what Bo Bichette can do. I feel like we have seen glimmers of it, and it does worry me a little bit that he's been hurt so much lately. I think they've been treating him with kid gloves a little bit on this injury, and maybe just not bringing him back for the sake of not bringing him back. But I would say you're looking at least a roster player that is above average, and a prospect or two. And if not, then it better be basically your MILB team or something like that. But the expectations are going to be through the roof. I mean, look at Varsho for Moreno. Like, Varsho is finally playing okay, but people are still, and Moreno didn't have a great year, but people are still, not happy about that deal. It's effectively it's Jay Buhner. It's so many guys who've been traded, and when they go somewhere else, they wreck shop. So, I mean, good luck to Bo. I hope they find somewhere for him to go that provides us with some return. But like you said, it is the holy hand grenade of Antioch. Like, no idea what's going to happen.
Two-time All-Star, has led the American League in hits twice in his 6-year career. Obviously, this season, Liz, he's had a very, very down year. 79 games, batting .223. He has a stellar 4 home runs and 30 RBIs. I didn't realize it was that bad, but what are you thinking? For what?
I really worry that in Toronto, we still see him as a dazzling star, but he's not performed very well in the last year. There's potential there. So I'm not really sure. I think that, I mean, I don't know what we get for him. I don't know how other teams see him. I don't know. Actually, just like straight up, I don't know. I know what I want.
At that point, that's your worry.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing is that, like, I also am afraid that we kind of wrote him off. Maybe we could keep him. Maybe it could be okay. Maybe, but also though, like, to my guy Bo, if he's done like showed no charisma, no warmth at all to Toronto or to the Blue Jays at all in this whole kind of thing. I get that you're an introvert, my guy, but it's like, I don't know. It would have been nice to see some glimmer of life from you.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
it wasn't this season for him on that level. It definitely has not been the same as years past. The enthusiasm looks like, and maybe he's just been hurt the whole time. But we have no idea as fans,
like,
right? That's the unfortunate catch.
Well, just give an interview. Give an interview and just be nice or warm or charming or any kind of vibe. But I think for me, yeah, I don't know what to expect back from him, but I expect at least something decent. Like, I expect either an all-star player in return or a few really solid prospects and a parade of mascots.
Yeah, parade of mascots is always a wonderful thing. So, Brian, obviously you've had the wonderful benefit of literally seeing Bo Bichette from day one and keep moving up through the prospects list. And then obviously to a major league career that has started off really well and hit a snag this past season. What are your thoughts on what the Blue Jays might have to get in return for Bo Bichette if they do dangle him this offseason? As far as, doesn't need to be names, just levels.
I don't know. It's such a tricky question. It's like, do other teams, do they see him as a guy who led the league in hits twice, or do they see him as the player that he was in 2024? And I think regardless, I mean, you're going to look at his whole career, and up to this season, it's been a really good one. And he's improving defensively. He's, one of the best hitters in 2024. So I think you'd have to, with open return, you'd get an above average major league player, and then maybe like a top 100 prospect. And you're going to want a decent return on him, but it really depends on the team you trade him to and how they view him.
Yeah.
Do they view him as the guy who's led the league in hits 2 times in the last 4 seasons, or do they see him as the guy that sort of just checked out this season and doesn't act like he wants to even come back and be part of the team?
So I was just looking up because, well, the one thing that isn't helping his trade value is the fact that, like I said, he's going to be making $13-14 million and can be an MVP level player for $13-14 million. That can be appealing to a lot of teams. But you look at who is going to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season at the shortstop position specifically. Wow, tongue-tied. Willie Adames is the one that's leading that list. And right now he's making that exact same amount of money from the Milwaukee Brewers this season. The next people on that list are actually guys that might not make it to free agency. And that's Ya-Sun Kim of the Padres, who has a mutual option that would have to be signed at $7 million. Maybe he signs that because it's been very up and down for him in his beginning of his career. Kyle Farmer is also a mutual free agent. It depends on if they both pick up that kind. And then it gets down to some guys that are really in the Paul DeYoung ballpark at shortstop. So if the Blue Jays are going to strike with trading a shortstop this offseason and maybe hitching their horse to the Leo Jimenez train or Ernie Clement playing more at shortstop, maybe doing some kind of platoon up the middle. Like I said, there's not a lot there. Teams are going to have to look for a trade if they want to improve at the shortstop position. So maybe there's a market there on that avenue. I'm pretty sure those names that I just threw out there are not exciting anybody in this chat.
No, I mean, and I think that what you're looking at as well, and I mean, Brian can probably speak a little bit better to this. I don't 100% know who the Jays have behind Bo, as their what they would consider to roll out as a replacement shortstop. Because if they have one that's of even close to the mark, because let's all be fair, Bo was not the best defensive shortstop we have ever seen play shortstop. Now, it is kind of crucial to be a shortstop in the majors and be good defensively. He seemed to get by on his hair and his hitting. So, I mean, if we can get somebody who, and that's a good clip. I hope we get that one.
I was to say we might have to find that one.
Yeah. So my hope is that, like, I mean, if it's Jimenez or anybody, and Brian, you can probably answer this a little bit better, but whoever that is, if we can at least take a chance on him, then we afford ourselves the opportunity of, like you said, maybe trading him for Juan Soto or maybe trading him for another really big name. I mean, look what the Yankees were able to do by basically adding one person, changing their whole dynamic by adding Juan Soto. It changed their whole team. Now, Jazz Chisholm, they have him, and he's sort of doing the legwork that Juan Soto did to start. So Juan Soto almost becomes very tradable. A lot of money. Juan Soto makes a truck of money. So, I mean, or are there other guys out there in the majors that, again, become expendable and that the Jays could go after with Bichette, or if they trade him for something else, they at least free up the money and can go after somebody like that.
I just want to add one thing on Jason's comment. Do you remember the time when we had Bo Bichette playing shortstop and an even better shortstop on our team playing, what was he playing, like second base? What was Simeon playing? Anyway.
Yeah, second. Let's not talk about how good Simeon's doing this year.
Nope, pass.
No, don't talk about that. Don't talk about Espinal. Don't talk about how well he's doing this year. Pass. Uh-oh, Craig's on mute. Let's make fun of him until he gets off of mute. There, yeah, no, can't hear you at all.
We can't hear you, man.
We can't hear a thing.
We can't hear you.
Exactly. But I think to Craig's point, I think one of the big things that and again, Brian, you can jump in here. If there is somebody, like, do you think there's somebody in the system that the Jays can bring up to fill that hole at short and not have to sweat about it?
Well, I mean, it could be Leo Jimenez. He can play short. In Buffalo right now, you got Josh Kashovich, maybe. There's a few options that are close. I mean, could they replace Bo Bichette? Maybe, maybe not. But if you could trade them and you could get a player back that could, boost this offense, it might be a chance worth taking.
Yeah.
Especially if you can bring up a player that it could be better defensively at shortstop. And shortstop's such an important position. Yeah. And like you said, Bo kind of gets by on his hitting more than he gets by on his actual defense.
What about Ernie Clement? Did Clement play short?
Yeah, he can play shortstop. I don't know if you'd want him there every single day. I mean, but he could definitely fill in there. There's a lot of players that they could have fill in there. I mean, you could have Addison Boger there.
Yeah, I like him. Craig knows how much I like him. But I think the other thing is there's been a lot of discussion, and I mean, we can throw this around the wheel a little bit here too. There's been a lot of discussion from Jays management that looks like Vladdy might be slowly making his way back to third base.
It's weird, eh?
I mean, it is weird, but it isn't. Like, have you seen how well he's played? I mean, I almost feel like they said to him, Vladdy, we need you to play third again. And he was like, yeah, let's do this, man. Like, I've been waiting to dive for balls. I've been waiting to hose guys out. Like,
You're thinking it was.
Go ahead, Brian.
I mean, if you could move him there and you have forward play more at first base, it makes sense. I mean, Horwitz is more a first baseman. He's doing okay at second base, but he's not really played there until this season. So if you could move Guerrero over, then you could have Horwitz, and then you have two decent bats in the lineup more often.
I think that's where you get the win out of it, because you also got to find a place for Will Wagner if he's going to keep hitting like he said too. So you got to keep moving some of these pieces around. Go ahead, Liz.
Why do you think it's management who was like, Vladdy, you're playing third, or did Vladdy pulling I like third base best, I would like to be there, which I think to me is funny because he's a Gold Glove winning first baseman. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if he comes and says, I'm a first baseman, and there's all this debate right now about how much you can pay a first baseman, which I don't really understand, but his record is solid in terms of first base and hitting. This guy's golden. But then as soon as you put him on third base, there's holes in his defense, right? So I'm confused as to what is the proclivity of Vladdy to be like, I want to be third, other than just maybe he likes that.
I mean, there's
I think
more
it's
value in
good.
third base, so maybe there's a lot more value at third base and first base. So maybe he's looking at it for contract reasons. That if he says, "Hey, I'm going to be a third baseman," he might get a bigger contract.
Yep.
I don't know. I still think there's holes. He's like a shoddy third baseman, and he's an excellent first baseman. I don't know. That's me.
No, we
But
were
then
just shit
again-
talking Ernie Clement just to say that about him playing every day. He just dropped the bomb. Just saying.
There you go. Yeah, but I mean,
Classic Jay Bird watching.
classic. But I mean, Chris Bassett even said he doesn't worry about Vladdy on third, which actually makes me feel better because Chris Bassett worries about everything. Is the dome closed,
He's
etc.
bluntly honest.
Yeah, which I don't hate.
I'm just playing. That might have been the best interview I've heard in a while, honestly, with what he put out with what show was he on last week? He was it with Chris Rose and those guys that he was talking with about the Blue Jays' horrible season, and he's basically said the Blue Jays put too many eggs in the Shohei Ohtani basket.
Shohei basket, yeah.
I mean, which we all do, right? Like
Plaingate.
he was just the first guy to have the balls to say it from the organization.
Yeah.
And then I believe, did they try and make him walk it back? Like what happened there?
Nope, they never said anything.
Nothing.
Nothing's been said, and I like the fact that when every time they show Chris Bassett anywhere, he looks like he just looks like a crazy person.
Oh,
He looks like he shaved half his beard and just wrestled a gator and then came inside. He's just the guy's an animal.
yeah.
And just to make this, because like I said, I do have the game up here too. Blue Jays' other new member, Jordan Loperfido, actually just hit a double that I'm actually shocked didn't turn into a triple. I don't know if he was dogging it a little bit because it looked like he was going to catch it out in right field, but it went into the gap, and he's got some wheels. I'm very impressed. He's going to put some other pieces together here as a sweet swinging lefty that we haven't had in a while. So, but no, there is some craziness going on as far as the Vlad moving to third, possible Bo Bichette talks, Chris Bassett mouthing off. Pick a weird thing to be talking about this week.
I like it.
It would have been a better topic this week, but to that point, we're good. That's what we do here on this. We wing it and we have fun and we talk Blue Jays barroom chat. But first things first, as we wrap up the show here and give Mr. Crawford his platform to talk about his, I'll say, prospect prowess. We have a comment from the Peanut Gallery. Once I find my mouse to click on it, Brian, we have a friend of the show, Jeremy Pridham, that is apparently dying to see Mr. Jake Bloss. How much have you gotten a chance to watch the stuff that he's done so far as the Buffalo Bison?
Haven't got to see as much of him yet as I would like, but he's definitely exciting. It was really a good deal to get him to come back in the trade with Kikuchi, and I think it's just a matter of time he's going to be in Toronto.
Yeah. Because so as we talk some more prospects here and everything, correct me if I'm wrong. The Blue Jays now have Jake Bloss as one of the only top prospects out of the Blue Jays that's in the top 100.
Just one.
I think the most
the Highlander
version even had Ricky Tiedemann falling down significantly after this year. I got to find out and see what I can figure out here really quickly, because I didn't, it'd be too easy if I kept it open. So I am on MLB.com right now, and I'm getting pretty damn far down this list without seeing any Blue Jays logos. And this is the part that is concerning to Blue Jays fans. And unfortunately, Liz, you are 100% correct. There is not currently a Toronto Blue Jay in the top 100 prospect list. And the last minor league quote unquote reports that have went out as far as ranking the Toronto Blue Jays system is pretty unanimous that the Blue Jays are in the bottom 5, regardless of which list you're putting on. So Brian, give us some lights. Talk to us, somebody who you might be liking on that whole
now Brian,
somebody that might be one that sneaks onto that list.
Brian, keep in mind, I'm going to see the Vancouver Canadians on Saturday night. Also, if there's anybody in that that I should be looking at or trying to get something signed by now, let me know.
Yeah, give Jason the intel here so he can also bug our friends with the Canadians and get some other fun going.
Yeah, it's I'm kind of surprised the system's that low. Even after all the trades they made, I would have thought they would be ranked a little bit higher than that. Yeah, but
I could say a lot about Major League Baseball too, not just as much of specific to the Blue Jays. Who knows, right? But right now, that's the quote unquote current.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, there's players that people are excited about that came back in the trades, like Jake Bloss and Charles McAdoo, and, that players, Cutter Coffee, players, he's in Vancouver, you might want to try to get his autograph.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say. I mean, you go into this trade deadline, the system wasn't extremely deep, and you plan to come in this season and compete, and then you end up selling. And I feel like they got pretty good returns on the trades they made. But then you add these players, you bring in your draft pick, and does it really move the needle? Time will tell in a year or two. It's still too early to really tell, like, if the players they've drafted this year are going to really move the needle. If the players they recently traded for are going to quickly move up the system. I mean, the ones that they brought over from the Astros, I mean, 2 of them are in the majors. Bloss probably will be before the end of the year. So that trade seems like it's worked out really well. The other ones, there's still time will tell. And, they're in high A or double A, and it's still kind of a question mark. There's a player like Jonathan Clase who came over now in AAA. Do you bring him up in September? Maybe.
Yes.
That's your short answer. Got to find room for him. Jason's going to be the more fun part. Go ahead, Brian.
I think in September, I think there's a lot of players in Buffalo that, are probably going to work their way up in September. The season's kind of, not going the way people wanted it to go. So you're going to probably see a lot of players either come back to the majors and make their debut this year. It's really hard to say. It's really hard. I want to say, oh yeah, the system's moving in the right direction, but like there's still so many question marks. Like,
kind of like we're stuck in neutral a little bit on that avenue, Brian.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's, it might just be, like you said, it might just speak of baseball as a whole. I mean, just so much parity now, with the draft and the trades, and I don't even know how they measure it. Like, how do you measure that this system is better than this system? I mean, there's so many prospects.
A lot of it's geared by the list. A lot of it's geared by at least those rankings are geared on how many top 100 prospects you have, or how many guys you have are this close to being major league ready and stuff like that. But to your point, it is still a roll of the dice at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. A lot of it's based on the top 100 prospects that they currently don't have any. It's just kind of a roll of the dice at the minute.
I do think there's a lot to be said as far as who's graduated off that list too, as far as people that would, and maybe tip the scales on the minor league system a lot differently. You have seen Ernie Clement turn into a major league player one way or the other. I don't think he loses anything on this team. It's a question if he starts all day or if he is going to be that role player right off the bench. You have an everyday bat in Spencer Horowitz, even though he just grounded out to first. You have all these guys that have moved up. And I think the one thing that Blue Jays fans look at out of what has come up to the major leagues and what hasn't come up to the major leagues, I think it's rather telling that it has been position player, and a lot of guys that are just super athletic that play in the middle of the diamond. For example, we don't have that next big catching prospect to back up for Alejandro Kirk, for example. We have a few starters that are, I'll say, in the top tier that, like I said, I'm surprised weren't still on that list that we were just talking a minute ago about. But then relief pitching just seems to be completely gone. We're going to have to do nothing but dumpster dive over the offseason. So if you were going to be trading for prospects, is that where you're kind of thinking, Brian, that the Blue Jays have to find that next big catcher, arm, whatever it might be?
Yeah, the Shapiro and Atkins, that seems like to be their MO. They like to draft like position players and move them all over the diamond, and that's what's been coming up is all these players that can play like 4, 5, 6 positions. Do they stick anywhere? Maybe, maybe not. I think a big thing they really need to focus on is getting some pitching. I don't there's a few prospects in the system, but a lot of them are having Tommy John. So it's like, so where do you turn to? Like, if you need help in the bullpen, but are there a lot of options that you want to bring up and fill into that bullpen long term? And like you said, there's not a lot of catching. You know, you trade away Moreno, and then you trade away Jansen at the trade deadline, and then a position that had looked really deep just a couple seasons ago, now all of a sudden it's a position of need. And are there really big catching prospects in the system? If there are, there's not any that's really close to the majors at the moment. So
you guys all know Spencer Horowitz is a catcher, right? No, he is. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
No, it's just one of those, to that point Brian just made. It's one of those things that, like I said, we have a bunch of guys, or like he said, there's a bunch of guys that play everywhere. He happens to be just like Dalton Varsho.
Yeah, nine glove
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's very intriguing that and the Blue Jays kind of stole that, to your point, I think a few months ago, Jason. They've done a good job of drafting and pulling in guys that are just extremely athletic, like the Tampa Bay Rays. Yeah. They'll find a home for them if they can actually hit and field, right?
But hit though.
Yeah, we need hit.
Yeah, we need hit.
1-5-0 so far, but hopefully they can pitch and keep the Los Angeles Angels from doing anything to us. Cool. So, but on that note, tonight, just in case nobody noticed this, Vladdy's not playing third tonight. Ernie Clement is. So that was 2 nights in a row for Vladdy Mania at third base. But
Vladdy Clement.
Vladdy Clement.
Really blands him out.
So,
love it.
So this is the top or the bottom part of the show. Thank you, everybody that is currently listening on the show. I really would love to hear some of you from the Peanut Gallery. Get us in there and get the comments. We'll put them up on the screen, have a good talk, figure out what's going on. There's 20 of you in there right now. I want to hear from you. We've had as many as 100 so far, up and down all over the place. So please drop us some more messages. Jeremy can't be the only one that's talking to us every week. So on that note, gang, like I said, we're wrapping up the show. This is the end of the piece. Does anybody have any topics they would like to talk about before I give Brian his shameless self-promoting bit?
I thought it was, I don't think we mentioned this or not, but I think it's pretty harsh that the Mariners fired Scott Service.
He found out on the internet. He found out. That's
pretty harsh. But
internet full-on interwebbing there, giving us the information right before the show.
Yeah.
So
that's
Jason,
all I gotta say.
Talk to me.
Yeah. I think it's unfortunate. I think Scott Service has done a good job there. I think Scott Service has been let down by his starting pitching, and I mean, a coach can only coach so much when it comes to starting pitching. If they're not hitting their spots or they're not pitching well, I mean, that's kind of on them. He can't change his rotation. He can't do anything really about that. I mean, managers are so handcuffed with what they have for pitchers because of the limits of the roster size sometimes that, I mean, this is what you get. And, I think Scott Service is a good dude. I hope he lands somewhere on his feet because he's a good manager. He wouldn't look terrible in Blue Jays colors, but, so that's all I got on that.
Yeah. Brutal road trip is the key word for what they've been on right now with the Mariners. Just a downward spiral for the ages for what's been going on there. And I think they felt, I think the Mariners owners and whatnot felt that somebody had to wear it. And unfortunately, there's an old saying in baseball by Joe Torre. Bad players or good players that are playing bad get traded. Managers get fired. Umpires that are doing a crappy job go to the next town.
Yeah.
So, but that's just what happens, and that's the game of the game we love. So that was the one that we wanted to talk about with the Mariners, unfortunate spiral. We did talk one out before. The Blue Jays fans finally got to see why Ellie De La Cruz is such a big deal for baseball over the last few days. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like he literally single-handedly stole that game from us yesterday, because that's what it kind of felt like. Defensively, with his legs and his lumber, The man's
Dude.
going to be something wild if he can
He's
hold up even a
interplanetary.
quarter of what the hell's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, that's exactly. He is
He is
Is
not
your
of this
friend.
earth. He is a Martian. He
sent
is
here to play baseball.
Yeah, he is a test robot sent down to play baseball to mess with America's game. Maybe he's Russian. Maybe we're back to the Cold War, and this is some weird Russia-Japan combo robot. And they tried with Ohtani first, and Ohtani wasn't quite fast enough, so they tried it. They tweaked it, and he's the Ohtani 2000. But holy crap, is he
awesome.
He's just it's unbelievable to watch, and he again
22 years old,
effortless. He stood up into third base. Do you realize how hard it is to hit a stand-up triple in the majors? Like, just think about how good the outfielders are, how hard they can throw the ball, and how hard it is to get to third base standing. He didn't even think about sliding. He was just like, I'm just going to walk right in here.
Yeah. And it's just funny, too, because regardless of the fact that he is having a crazy year, if the old school baseball fan would go, he's only batting 262. Well, I'm sorry to say that's good in baseball these days because there's too many damn strikeouts.
It'll do.
My favorite Jason Lyons quote of all time that I tell all my nieces and nephews is, if you can hit a triple, even a double in Major League Baseball, they should just hand you a cake.
Well, to that point, the triple is still, I quote Willie Mays, triple is the most interesting play in all of baseball. And Jordan Loperfido hit one this evening. So that's his second one since joining the Blue Jays. Kid's got legs.
Yeah.
But Ellie De La Cruz, 60 stolen bases. When was the last time that I'm having trouble remembering anybody that stole that many other than him?
The answer is always stolen bases is Ricky. That's always
Ricky being Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky being Ricky. So, because even like that, there was somebody getting all up in a twist the other day that Francisco Lindor is finally having a great season again. And he's been 25-25 the last two seasons and quietly doing that in New York, which is saying a lot. You're quietly doing that in New York. So, it is what it is. But I thought that was crazy that the Blue Jays fans got to see what they saw over him out of the last 3 days, because even though his last 7 games have been lacking, he did take the Blue Jays to school the last 3 days. So there was
amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So, Mr. Crawford, this is your turn in the show here before we wrap the hour up. Tell the Blue Jays fans on Jaybird Watching where they can find your work and what you might be working on.
Yeah, you can find my work at jaysprospects.com. You can follow me on X at Brian22. We got a piece going probably tomorrow on Mason Fluhody. Potential be in the bullpen maybe next year in Toronto. Got a few trying to get some interviews set up still, but always got new stuff coming out throughout the year. Get some for the season, get some for the off season. There's always new work coming out, and if they're interested, check it out. Follow me on X, and there's always stuff being posted. So, always something new, always something, exciting going on. Trying to talk to as many players as possible, hear what they have to say about their development and what they're working on, and trying to move up through the system. So, if anyone's interested in learning about some of the prospects, check the site out.
Including long-lost Blue Jays top prospects, Eric Parguino, like we were talking about before the show. I really am still hoping that he's got something in the tank, because the man from Brazil has got talent, and he's still crazy young. So you have no idea what's going to go out with somebody like him. So check out Brian's work at jaysprospect.com. We'll make sure we retweet it out here at the end of the show this evening with our clips for this show. And the last thing we got to do here tonight before Liz and I get to do a promo for our Saturday, we got our picks to click, everybody. So who had the best week in Toronto Blue Jays baseball this past week? I had Ernie Clement. Jason, we threw in Will Wagner for you. And Liz, we were very nice to you in your absence last week that we gave you Vladdy.
I always pick Vladdy. I was going to pick Vladdy anyway, guys.
And the guest spot, we had Spencer Horowitz. So Mr. Crawford, I'm going to let you be the one there because there's a lot going on there on that stat sheet between those four people, that Ernie Clement, Will Wagner, Vlad Jr., and Spencer Horowitz over the last week. Out of those four people, who do you think had the best week in Blue Jays baseball since last Thursday?
Let's go with Wagner. He's been on an absolute tear since coming up to the majors.
That's a big win.
Spencer? I didn't hear you. Or Wagner.
Wagner, yeah.
Wagner, got it. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, just, that's how it works there. So, we're going to get that one going. So, there's another win for Mr. Jason Lyons, who currently has 5, 6, 7. And me and Liz are tied at 4. Actually, we have a 3-way tie, actually, outside of Jason. They all got 4 wins. So, on that note, we'll let the guest spot go here first. For this coming up week here, Brian, who do you think will have the best Blue Jays week this coming week? And you might have a nice little cheat with Jordan Lopofito with already having a triple and Ernie Clement already having a home run this evening.
Okay. I don't Lopofito. I'll take him.
I'm sorry, who was it?
Lopofito.
Lopofito. There it is. Put your money where your mouth is on that earlier comment with him, huh?
Yeah, why not?
All right, so Liz, I'm going to let you go next because Jason's on high right now.
So I'm going to pick a player for the same reason that I know that Jason would pick this player. I'm going to pick Ernie Clement because he's cute as a button.
There it is. And not to mention, like I said, already has a home run going for next week. You know. So, Jason, your pick, my friend, because I'm the host. I unfortunately go last every week.
Based on what's been happening over the last week, I am going to go with my 8th favorite number 4 and George Springer.
There it is.
Right, number 8.
Also having a lot of fun.
An electric 2 weeks. Old Jorge is having.
Love it.
Yeah, a little Jorge. Got a little extra spring in his step. Hashtag dad joke.
Oh, there we go.
There it is. So, I got to go with my boy. I love Alejandro Kirk, and I think he's obviously got all the right playing time, and there has been some fire going on with Mr. Kirk of late. I want to watch him continue to go right in that one. So, and I'm not just saying that because I saw him hit like a 450-foot home run in Bluefield a million years ago, Brian, over the batter's eye. But that's my pick. So before we go, though, Liz, we got to talk a little bit about Saturday before we go anything too wild. So go for it. I know you got this ready.
Saturday. All right. So me and the Krager, we're going to be, and I think our buddy Scotty from the Walk Off podcast, we're going to be outside the Dome talking to fans, asking you hard-hitting questions, and giving away stupid prizes. In fact, I'm going to give away a lovely prize of my last 2 years ago Bo Flow bobblehead with real hair. Is it Bo's hair? It might be. It could be. Probably not, though.
Taken directly from the drains. The hair is taken directly from the drains in the shower at the Blue Jays facility.
Exactly. So we're going to be out there. Come say what's up. We're going to talk to you. We're going to high-five you. We're going to give you some stuff. Craig, anything to build on my pushing?
That was a good promo.
Oh, and just to pull the weird, terrible Ghostbusters joke, we got, I don't have mugs, but I have baseball cards for the kids. So make sure y'all come and have a fun time. Talk to Liz and I, have some fun, get interviewed, talk some Blue Jays baseball before we all go into the 3 o'clock game.
Get your own knockoff Liz McGuire baseball cards that some guy was selling on the internet. Yeah, say what's up.
They're trying to pass the fakies off now as the real top ones.
I love it. The fakies are cool though. Like that's the real one.
The fakies are cool. I love it.
Super cool.
I love the old tops with the wood border on that. Like the only ones I honestly, as far as the baseball card nostalgia's in the room, the only ones I like other than that one are I think it was 1987. They have that kind of like swoosh banner with the players' names on the bottom of it. Love that.
Anyway, so you're gonna see us. Craig, are we bringing a wheel or not? Do we get a wheel going?
What are you gonna do with it when you're done? Just throw it.
I can pack this guy up, but what am I gonna do with it during the game? So my thought
Sure.
You
was
could wear it
we'll
around your neck like
we'll
a
play
Flavor
around with it.
Flav necklace.
It's true. That is the only responsible thing one could do with that.
And then you could just spin it as people walk by and they'd be like, what? And you're like, you're
What?
about to win here. And then just keep on walking. And they'd be
Don't
like,
wear a
what did
shirt.
I win?
There you
No,
go.
what? Yeah.
Don't wear a shirt. That's gonna be awesome.
Same thing for me.
There it
I'm going
is.
to be at the Vancouver Canadians game on Saturday night, as long as it doesn't pour here in Vancouver. If you want to come say hi, I know there's a couple of people that I know that listen to this fairly regularly. Yeah, I'll have some of that stuff. Maybe I'll buy you a nice libation from Parallel 49 or from our good friends at Bomber Brewing. I mean, you can't advertise it, but maybe I'll do it. I did want to say one thing before we
I
split.
really like you knew what you were doing, though.
Yeah, I do want to say one thing before we split. Again, it goes back to the kids baseball team that that just went to Winnipeg, came third in Westerns. A lot of the kids are listening, so I just wanted to quickly shout out the kids: Caleb Nuttall, Callum Anderson, Daphne Haskins. So Daphne is the only girl on our team.
Let's go.
She didn't come with us to Westerns, but what she did instead was she went to Nationals and came second place in U14, and she's going back to play U16 this week. It's nuts. She's an animal. So way to go, Daphne. Congratulations.
Can we get Daphne? Let's get Daphne on the show.
Should do.
Yeah.
Enzo De Palma.
Brian, there's your really high-end prospect.
Daphne Haskins.
Later
Keep an eye
James
on
prospects.
Enzo De Palma, Fernan Caballo, Finn Sheeman, who is a 6'2", 180-pound 13-year-old.
Let's go.
Grady Hoshin, Logan Hughes, Luke Randall, Michael Puttycombe, Reese Wyatt, Tyson Gilfinin, Weston Hickey, Wyatt Spence, Zach Vasilev, and of course my kids, Jet and Carter. Congratulations, boys. That was a lot of fun. Might be the last time I coach ever. If they make the team they're trying out for next year, it's I turn into the guy sitting in the stands, not sitting in the dugout. So it'd be a hell of a way to go.
Why do I picture you being like Bob Uecker up in the 500 yelling, going, he missed the tag.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, in the provincials, one of the most important plays we had in a game was a kid tagged up and scored from 2 on an overthrow. And I clearly saw him miss third base, and so did the ump. And we got the out, and they were so mad. And I was like, he missed it by 4 feet. Like, he didn't miss it by a foot. He missed it by 4 feet. And so you got to pay attention, baby. If you're not going to be the head coach, you got to pay attention for stuff like that. But great job, guys. North Shore Baseball rocks.
Let's go.
Good deal. So, Brian, first things, thank you very much for coming on the show. We'll have to do this again and get some better prospect information than this normal collective typically has. So thank you very much for your guest spot this evening. We greatly appreciate it.
Great. Thank you for having me.
All right. So, Blue Jays fans, like I said, Saturday, be out in the courtyard in front of the game. We'll be there after I have a few beers and my lunch after a 3.5-hour long road trip from Rochester, New York. But we will be there. We'll have fun. You will enjoy yourself, I promise. Until then, make sure you tune in on Thursday. And make sure you tune in every Thursday evening right here and have a great chat with us here on the Jaybird Watching Podcast. We are here to talk with Blue Jays fans, so make sure you join the talk. It's hard to have a barroom chat when you don't have the actual chat. Just saying. So make sure you join us, and make sure on Monday nights we'll be back to baseball card rips on Monday nights, and we're gonna find some other ways to get some more cool social media stuff going with you to have some fun and interact with more Blue Jays fans in the near future. But until then, everybody, I hope you have a great evening, and hopefully the Blue Jays keep winning 5-0 like they are right now.
Rock and roll, baby.
Peace out. Go Blue Jays.